There's a moment in every filmmaker's career where the tools you choose stop being just gear and start carrying expectations. For me, that moment started with RED, not because it was easy, not because it was practical, but because I believed, wrongfully, that it might be the thing that pushed my career forward. This is my journey with RED cameras, from the RED Scarlet-X to the Gemini to the Komodo and finally the Scarlet W. Let's dive in. My first RED camera was a Scarlet-X, and getting it came at a real cost. I sold off nearly my entire Lego collection, something I had built up over 20 years, to be able to afford it. At the time, I felt it was justified. I convinced myself that this camera was the key, that owning a RED would unlock opportunities, credibility, and momentum. Looking back, that belief was misguided. The Scarlet-X didn't move my career forward the way I thought it would. Clients didn't suddenly appear, doors didn't magically open, but what it did give me was something far more valuable. It gave me room to make mistakes. Shooting raw gave me flexibility, latitude to experiment, to fail, to learn, and to recover in post. It forced me to understand exposure, lighting, and discipline at a much deeper level. The Scarlet-X didn't elevate my career, but it absolutely elevated my craft, and that distinction matters. After that, I jumped to the Gemini. At the time, I wanted to be current. I wanted to be on the latest technology. The dual sensitivity sensor felt like the next logical step, and honestly, the low light performance was incredible. The camera did help me get some work. It opened up environments that would have been difficult before. Darker spaces, faster setups, fewer lights. But once again, the same lessons repeated itself. Gear wasn't the answer. The Gemini gave me better tools, not better direction. It reinforced something I was still learning the hard way. Cameras can support your work, but they can't define your value. Then came the Komodo. On paper, it made sense. Smaller form factor, global shutter. A camera built for modern workflows, gimbals, drones, tight spaces. I thought smaller was the way forward, but in practice, it wasn't for me. The size worked against how I like to operate. I didn't like how it handled. The lack of mounting area made builds feel compromised, and I constantly felt like I was fighting the camera instead of working with it. The image was solid, the idea was smart, but ergonomics matter, and this one didn't fit my style. Moving back to a DSMC2 camera, the Scarlet W felt like clarity. At this point, I understood myself better as a filmmaker. I realized I actually prefer a camera of at least that size for most of my work. The balance, the build options, the way it lives on a shoulder or a tripod, and the image. The Dragon sensor is gorgeous. The way it handles highlights, skin tones, and texture works for me. At this point, it wasn't about specs anymore, it was about trust. Knowing what I was going to get when I bring footage into post. The Scarlet W wasn't about chasing the next thing, it was about choosing what fits for me. Looking back, my journey through RED cameras mirrors my growth as a filmmaker. I started believing gear would move me forward. I learned it doesn't. What gear does do is give you space to grow, to experiment, and to figure out what actually works for you. And it also taught me something even more important. Different tools exist for different jobs. The Scarlet W isn't the only camera I use. I also shoot on the FX6. And which one I choose has nothing to do with ego or brand loyalty. It depends entirely on the scope of the project, the needs of the client, and the budget. Some jobs demand the modularity and look of a DSMC2 build. Some demand speed, efficiency, and a lighter footprint. That's maturity. It's understanding that cameras serve the story, not the other way around. Selling that Lego collection wasn't a mistake. Buying RED cameras wasn't a mistake. Believing that they would do the work for me was. Every camera I've owned taught me something, not just about image quality, but about myself. What I value, how I like to work, what actually matters. Gear can give you options, it can give you flexibility, but it won't move you forward on its own. That comes from experience, from mistakes, from doing the work over time. If this resonates with you, consider subscribing and share your own journey in the comments. I'd love to hear what tools shaped your path and what lessons they taught you. So, wherever you are in your journey, let's continue to learn, create, and grow as storytellers.